Good morning, Instagram, and welcome to today's episode of the Trish Lynn Show. Today, we are bringing Mel on, and we are talking about what the fuck is happening here in the online space. A conversation that her and I have been having over and over again. There we go. She is here. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. I am so excited for this conversation.
Me.
I was just sharing, this is a conversation that you and I have been having for quite a while now with, what the fuck is actually going on here in the online space, and both of us having our businesses right here online. So for those of you who don't know, Mel and I go back a couple years now-ish,
Yeah.
and we actually met in an online networking event, and honestly, we've had the same point of view for the whole time, and that's how we connected. And we talk every single day. We share our struggles, our victories, everything. So this is a conversation that is really, really deep for us in what it is that we want to share. And Mel is in Spain, so I love that, the power of social media. We get to connect from across the world. And yeah, I'm like really amped up and really excited for this conversation. So I'm gonna let you come on, Mel, because yeah, like you and I talk every day, but for the audience who is maybe new to following the show or new to this page, share who you are and what you do.
Oh, okay. Well, I do public relations and I do it predominantly for female coaches, but I can also do it for a service provider. And the reason that I love what you're doing, Trish, is I grew up with narcissism. So I had a narcissistic mother, and so I know how toxic it is, and I know how much it can strip you down as a person. So fully applaud you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's dive in because we've had this conversation way too many times. I feel like it's getting more and more and more that we are having this conversation of what the fuck is actually going on. We look at Facebook groups and there's so much control and gatekeeping, and social media isn't about being social anymore. It's about how can I control how much money I'm making. So I'm just so over it.
Yeah, me too. There's a word that's been bubbling under the surface for me a while, and I know I've said it to you privately, but I want to say it openly now while we have this conversation. There's a lot of agenda with people, and you don't see that. And the reason I've used this word is I feel it and I know it, and also it fits with the topic we're discussing. So toxic behavior, narcissistic traits, like they have agendas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying all the stuff online is narcissistic. That's not where I'm going. But what I'm saying is, whether someone's narcissistic or not, but especially when you're looking at it from a business angle, people can come at you with agendas and you don't even see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm finding. Like, not so much here that I'm finding it, but more so in Facebook. For those of you who are in the online space, when you are looking at your marketing, a lot of marketing is in Facebook groups. But those Facebook groups, and let's be honest, even networking groups, I'm going to bring this up because it's something I've noticed and I know you've noticed, Mel. Jumping on coffee chats. And you're not viewed, even if you go into a Facebook group, everyone's there to sell. No one's there to actually receive. And I was really actually just sitting outside before this episode thinking about that, how everyone is, coming into Facebook groups. Yeah, they're a great way to get your message out. But most people that are in them actually don't want to receive what it is you're saying. They only are there to sell. And we're seeing, instead of treating people as people and building connections, we're seeing dollar signs above people's heads, and that's all they are, is another dollar, another dollar, another dollar. Not okay, let's build this network, let's do this together, let's grow together. And
Yeah.
we all get to win. It's a, well, oh, I'm going to make money off of her. Oh, I'm going to make money off of her. Oh, I'm going to make money off of her.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is.
Yeah. I mean, the fact you mentioned their coffee chat, I was invited to a coffee chat just a few days ago, which you know this story. And what is so amusing to me is the person instigated the call. Okay, so they reach out, I'd like to hop on a call, and I swear to God, like, I'm a good reader of body language, and that's all you can deal with on a call, right? This person tapped out. Like, they were great when they were talking about themselves. Then when they started wanting, well, they pretended they wanted to know about me, and they picked their cup up and they're playing with the spoon in the cup, and they're just like, their whole face was like, I am so tapped out of this conversation and I'm just waiting for her to finish. And to me, that was like, you instigated this call. I'm not the one that wanted the call. You are the one that's introduced me to the call to say, let's have a coffee chat, let's get to know one another. And right now you're tapped out. You know it, and I know it.
Yeah. And that's not building those authentic connections, right? It's, well, I'm going to pretend I'm interested because maybe I'll get to sell you on something. And that's what I've noticed with a lot of, the networking events I do. I love networking because for me, networking is a way to spread awareness of what I do. I don't go into these events looking to sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
I go into fully share the awareness of what I do and who I help, because you never know who is in there. And I've had so many women pop up after the fact say, this is me, let's chat, because they're still scared to fully share their experiences inside of those networking events, right? Like they're there, they know their background, they know what they've been through, they know their experiences, but on the screen, it doesn't come out. And I respect that. And that's why I do what I do, because the more I can share, the more awareness I can bring to this subject and this topic, the
Yeah.
greater my impact is going to be. So when I jump on these networking events and, everyone's like, oh yeah, let's book a chat, let's connect afterwards. It's so much a waste. Like, my time is valuable. And all these women want to do is try and sell me on
Yeah.
what it is they have. Well, I think this would be a great fit for you. I can help you do this, 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 and this. I'm like, does no one ever take an interest of the plan I already have in place? And I know what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to my marketing. It's just a matter of spreading that awareness. When you niche down, yes, it takes the algorithm a little bit longer to now catch up on, hey, this is what she's talking about. Let's push it out here. Or, just reaching the people, because I am like very hyper specific now on who I work with, that it's not going to be an overnight fucking 20K in the bank thing.
Yeah.
Like, so jumping on these calls and disguised as coffee chats meant to sell you on their work is so frustrating, because that's not the authentic connection that I am here to create and be a part of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's disingenuine. And for us, look, disingenuine is just whack anyway, but disingenuine over the topic that you're discussing is even worse, because it's like, we're not just dealing with inanimate objects here, we're dealing with people that have been stripped down. They are having to rebuild, yeah? And you want to walk in on all of that and rearrange it and sell me into something? Like, where's your ethics here?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I get it if you've been through that experience, but I didn't ask. So for me, and I was even thinking, like, I literally just sat outside for the last half hour before we jumped on here, because I was thinking about so many pieces. And for those of you who've jumped on or are jumping on, if you are into this topic of actually authentically networking, I have an event today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where we are coming together, and I have a Facebook group where you can actually come in and build those fucking connections, because that's what I'm here for, building those connections. But I was actually outside thinking about, sales psychology, and how I've said this to you, I've said this in the past week, I suck at sales, and I'm like, okay, I got to shift that mindset. So I actually started diving into my thought process when it comes to selling, But as a buyer, what do I look for? And it's in those authentic connections. When someone wants to buy your services, they don't need you shoving it down your throat.
Absolutely not.
When you
Absolutely.
want, so for me as a buyer, when I want something, last year I joined a mastermind. I'm like, I knew what I wanted. I knew the space that I was looking for, but I didn't know who was going to facilitate that space. And it showed up. And I'm like, I was in instantly because I already knew what I wanted. I knew what I was looking for. And then the lady who was running the mastermind showed up, and I'm like, this is fucking perfect. And I was in, no questions asked. She didn't have to jump down my throat telling me why I need to be in her mastermind. She didn't have to do all of these tacky things that we are seeing so much of. The amount of messages, and I'm going to say you're the same, and anyone else who has their business here in the online space is the same. The amount of messages I get for appointment setters or cold selling, like, hey, you need to, oh my gosh, I can't even remember one of them. And it was basically telling me that my business was shit and I need to follow what they're doing. I'm like, did you even look at my page and what I do? Like, or, someone will jump in and say, do you feel like this? And I'm like, no, not at all. Well, we could help you feel like this. And like, you didn't listen. There's no listening to what I'm actually saying. I wish I actually had real time. I wish I'd pulled them up. I didn't realize I was going to go this direction because there's no authenticity in listening to what someone is actually saying to them and what they're needing.
Absolutely.
So bullshit.
Which again fits in with an agenda. They have an agenda, which is why they reach out. Sometimes it can come across as really like befriending you and giving you all the praise and the adulation and, oh, I love your page and I love your energy and, oh, you look like this and, oh, it's so cool. And then all of a sudden it changes and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know why you've reached out.
Exactly. There's always these agendas behind it, and the way I see it, I've said this on my social medias before, not on this page, obviously, because this is the show page, but I am here to create a fucking change. I know you have something in the works that I'm not going to mention because you're not there yet, but we are creating the change that we want to see here in the online space because we are so fed up of all the bullshit, But even when it comes down to, we've had our jokes about some of these big coaches who are making big money, crying in their $500,000 cars. Like, what the fuck? Let's bring it back to real life. Yes, that is a possibility, but are 95% of us at that point where we can go cry in our $500,000 cars? No, because we're not there, and that's cool. That's our reality. Let's show the real life behind the social medias and building a business and actually working for what it is that we are creating. It's just yeah, I'm so sick of the glitz and the glam and the fakeness that you see, and that's why I started this show, because you guys get the real me. If you catch my stories, you got my squirrel brain. Like, that's me. That's who I am. And that's what I want people to see. And I get it, the more money you make, it can alter the way you live. I'm trying to think of the correct words to say, but it really doesn't take back or take away from the real world problems that we still experience and we still go through. And those are the pieces that are very often kept behind the scenes because it doesn't fit the agenda of what their social media pages are supposed to look like.
So true. So true.
No.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I do. Like, I just feel like there's this. Look, I deal with coaches, so I'm around coaches all the time. And I love it. I genuinely love what I do. But the dark side, as I call it, of the coaching industry is this whole putting out that they live the perfect life and they get to live in this house and they get to go on these holidays. And I'm not bashing someone doing well and being successful. That's why we all have been given the gift of life. I want every single person to do well. What I don't like is when that side of the coaching world is flaunting that as all the trimmings and everything. is what makes them who they are, because you can take away, let me give you a for instance. So I used to work as a secretary on trading floors of investment banks when I lived in London. So I know wealth. I know guys dripping in Gucci, the Armani's on, like I know it. And there was a joke that I used to have, which was this: you strip away that Gucci suit, if he's a twat, he's still a twat. He's just a twat in a Gucci suit. So what I'm trying to say is all the amazing things in life are that they're amazing. But if you are not a nice person before that, you're going to carry on not being a nice person unless you grow and evolve. Those nice things are going to accentuate your life. They're going to give you amazing opportunities that you would not have had before. And I'm all for growth. But if you take away all those possessions, who are you? You're a coach. So who are you inside here? What are you putting out into the world? And more importantly, what transformation are you giving the people you're coaching?
That's it. And I've set a big goal for my brand for next year. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's not going to change who I am. I'm still going to show up here, the hot mess, the squirrel brain, and all of the things, because that's who I am. And that's the fun of my brand. Yes, I talk about a very serious topic, but we get to, I'm this fucking house that I've just moved to. I'm still in shock. I looked out my front window this morning and I was in shock. I'm like, I'm going to start crying now because I am so grateful. I've been sitting in so much gratitude today. So grateful for everything that I have created over the last 2 years being out on my own. And I don't take any of that for granted. I have made things work when it doesn't seem like they're gonna work. And here I am, I'm in this gorgeous new home that is 10 times the house I was in. My survival home was great. It was a place for me to get on my feet again. But now, like, this is next level. I just sat out back on the deck and I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, no, I can't cry. I have to go on the show. I have my makeup on. I can't cry. And it's not going to change who I am. At my core, I am still the same person. How I show up in these spaces are still the same. Is the money going to help me, do things for my kids? Fucking 100%. Is the money going to help me maybe get a newer car? Because let's face it, I fucking love my car and I just want a newer one that's a different trim line. Because you get to be picky like that, right? But it doesn't change who you are. It gets to amplify the good pieces of you. Am I gonna wear more Lululemon? Fucking 100%, because it's comfy and I don't have to wear certain things out to a job every day. I get to wear what I want to wear and be comfortable. So it's looking at those pieces and building those connections that are going to support that growth in an authentic way. And we've watched so many women, I've witnessed so many women who are buying into this false narrative with these coaches who are gatekeeping. One, here, come into my group. You're going to learn this, and this. This is a place for support. But, your post is going to be declined when you're looking for support because it's not supporting me. Those are not the things. And women are falling into debt. Yeah. They are giving up everything for these spaces, and we're not seeing those authentic connections. And I think a lot of people are starting to I started the Women's Authentic Networking group, and the response has been, this is so needed, because everyone is getting so fed up with the online space and what is happening, because it's just become a free-for-all and there's no structure, there's no, I don't even want to say authenticity, but I'm not even sure the word I'm looking for. Ethicalness is kind of what I'm looking for.
This story, and one of my clients, I put her in a group, which is going to sound crazy. I'm not a big fan of the group, and the reason that I stay in there is I know a lot of my potential clients will be there, but I'm not a fan of it. But I knew it would help her to get where she wants to go with what she's doing. And so got her to go in there, helped her with a really good introduction. Was not spammy in any way. Just told everyone what she does, where she's from, done. They declined that post twice. To this day, she has still not done her introductory post. And that to me is the equivalent of being sat in a restaurant and saying, you can't sit with me.
Yeah.
Like if someone not do an introductory post, what chance do we have? Why have you set your group up? If you're going to decline someone's introductory post, like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, exactly. We're gatekeeping because we want it all for ourselves. And that's just not, it's not how we grow and evolve together. We are here to do this together. I mean, you and I both do marketing, but two totally different audiences.
Yeah.
And that is how we can collaborate and come together and have such an understanding for what we're going through together while still in our in our own lane doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing because there's no gatekeeping. You know, I shared something and you're like, go share that in my group, because it's not going to take away from you. And if you have someone in your group that, you know, is there because they like you, but maybe it's not the right fit, well, maybe they're the right fit for me. And that's the same thing with the group I'm creating. You know, I'm not here to gatekeep my knowledge. If I see that you can change something, I tell you. I don't need to be paid for it. I'm going to tell you what I see, as long as you want the advice, because projector vibes, I can't just share my things or people don't see it. I've learned this. But I'm not here to keep things to myself, to be selfish. I'm here to share and watch everyone around me grow and expand. And that's why I've started the Women's Authentic Networking, because we are here to come together. And this, you know, the group itself is to share your services, share what you have to offer, because the women coming in are going to need it. And I'm very careful with who comes in. And, you know, we have our first networking meeting today, and it's for collaboration and seeing where we can support each other and just share what we know and who we help and what we do. Because again, you might not need my services, but the amount of women that I have said, I know someone you need to talk to, has been incredible. And that is why I'm creating this, because I want to build the authentic connections where we get to come together. We don't sell to each other, but I mean, if it's a fit, it's a fit. That's even better. But it's a matter of creating those connections, because your network is your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
And the more people that you can connect with in a genuine, authentic way, the more your name gets out there, because it's, oh shit, this is what you're going through. You need to talk to. And those authentic connections are how you are remembered in the online space.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Totally agree.
I sent you a message, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, and you know, you always want to be one of those people that people tag in the Facebook groups if someone's looking for that support. And I was crying because someone that I had a simple conversation with tagged me in a post, and I was like, that is something that I have wanted, and it's something you want, and it happened. And I was in tears. I was so grateful, because for me, it's making those impressions of
It's recognized for what you do. Like, I always say this to my clients, like, you need to become that person, so that when people are seeing things online and they're like, oh, I need help with XYZ, they don't even like hesitate. They're just quickly tagging you to that post saying, you got to talk to this person, they're amazing. That there is half of your marketing done. The fact that people are referring you, praising you, saying this person worked with me, they helped me get blah, 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 blah. Just speak to that person, they're going to help you. And that is everything.
yeah, it really is. And that's, you know, that's it. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Is there anything else that you can think of? Because I know we've gone back and forth so much. Is there anything else you can think of that you want to share about all of this?
well, you know the conversation that we had the other day, and I was chatting to someone just now, actually, on another call. And what I'm getting quite a lot of, which we talked about this, you and me, and I'm sensing a lot of projected hurt from people. And so we all know cancel culture. And if all of a sudden you're not agreeing with them, but you're not being harsh about it, you're just saying, nah, this isn't for me, or no, I'm not going to do something, or whatever the thing may be, then all of a sudden you're the bad guy. Because again, going on what I said earlier, you're not fitting into their agenda on why they're even talking to you in the first place. And I had 2 calls one day last week where in the space of 2 hours, I was blocked. And I was like, really? Like, we're going to ask women here, if you're going to block me because I'm not agreeing with you, how do you go about your day? Like, what do you do?
You don't want to buy into their services. And that's a lot of people take no's personally. And in the online space, in the marketing world, in a business setting, you are going to hear more no's than you hear yeses. Marketing is a numbers game. And oh my God. Okay, so I often drive and I compare online marketing and like business to the online dating world. And we've had this conversation and I die laughing. But online dating is a great place to learn rejection because it's just a fucking swipe, right? Like you're just a swipe. That's all you are. So if you can just get used to being rejected, it feels so good because you start to learn, well, I don't fucking care because I know what I bring to the table. And you don't make it mean anything about you because it literally means nothing about you and everything about them. And I created a piece of content on that based on our conversations because the no's are not about you. You don't know where they are at, what is going on in their world, what is going on in their mind, and all of the things that's beyond your control. Someone else's view and where they're at is beyond your control. So don't take it personal and make it mean something about you. It means nothing. But all of
Absolutely.
these women are coming in and making it mean something about them when it doesn't mean a fucking thing.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like just having the grace to, I find it interesting that some women I'm coming across want to do the cancel culture instead of just going, you know what? I don't agree with that, but let's agree to disagree. And we go about our day and we're still civil and we can still have a amicable conversation. Like, why are we not dealing with this more rather than, oh, I don't agree with that, so you're getting blocked, or I don't agree with that, so it's like, why are we doing that?
Well, the thing is, who's to say, and this is where it goes back to building those connections, because who is to say that, this offer isn't right for you, but you might know someone who it's perfect for, and now they've decided, oh, I don't like what you said, so I'm going to block you. Well, now they could have lost the sale because you might know the perfect fit. You might know 5 women who are perfect for what it is they have created and what they're offering. But now they've blocked you, so you don't give a fuck.
It just amuses me. And it was funny because when we were having that conversation last week, I'd got blocked by one woman, and then this other woman, within the space of like 45 minutes, starts giving me crap. And then I'm like, I feel a block coming on. And then I was blocked again. And it was like, I'm actually aware of it now. So now when it's coming, I see where the conversation's going, and I know that I'm not going to fit the agenda. And so it's probably, as you say with children, going to end in tears. You're the one coming at me. I'm not the one hassling you. You're the one coming at me. If I am saying that I don't want something, or if I am saying that now is not the right time for me, why is it instigating a block? That's where I have the question mark.
Yep, because everyone is still so I don't want to say involved in themselves, but more not evolved in themselves, and they take that personally versus it means nothing about me. So, oh, I don't like what you said because you didn't agree with me and go along with my agenda, so you're blocked.
You know, it's the same like for when I used to work as a PR for restaurants out here. So I'd be front of house. You know, the competition's fierce. There's restaurant upon restaurant upon restaurant. There's God knows how many PRs in a line. We're all doing the same work. And I would never take it personally if I didn't get someone into the restaurant because they are on holiday and they get to choose. Notice the word choose. They get to choose where they are going to eat and drink. Even though that's my job, even though I'm to try and fill a restaurant here, they are the ones that ultimately say where they're going to spend their money and enjoy their evening. And if they don't come in, am I going to take that personally? Hell no, they're on holiday. They get to do what they want to do.
And that's literally the same in business here in the online space. Your job is to show up and present your knowledge, your offer, who you are as a person, because let's face it, people buy people before they buy things. So if you get to show up and be who you are, that person gets to decide. They get to decide and choose, you're who I want to work with. You're the person I want leading me through this experience and through this journey. You're the person I want to do my life with. Because let's face it, we do life with that person for however long that container is. So it's not just a simple decision. You are literally choosing to change your fucking life with someone, and taking that rejection personally should not be personal because maybe that's not the person you want to do life with for a bit.
Exactly. And also how you handle things not going your way. So for instance, like what I said there, working in the restaurant game, I could be having a really nice conversation with someone, but they could turn around to me and say, you know what, we don't want to eat here tonight. My persona, my energy did not shift. I didn't treat them like dirt. I know plenty of people out here that did do the job I do. They would swear at them. They would do all kinds of stuff. And my attitude was this. As I say, they get to choose where they're going to go. If they don't ever eat in my restaurant for the whole of their holiday, that is their call. But likewise, if I'm nasty to them, they're not going to change their perception on that and go, do you know what? I'll tell you what, why don't we go in and eat with her one night?
And
so I had a tourist tell me, we've come to you because the way you do what you do is personable. Like, we don't feel like you're forcing us. You're letting us make our own decision. And that's over food, which is like, do I want that today or that today? Someone who's going to go into a coaching program, that's a big deal. That's way more important than where we're going to have dinner tonight. Well, right?
Who's to say, if you turn around and start swearing at them, well, you're fucking guaranteeing they're not coming back the next night. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's everything in life. I was actually writing a piece of content on this yesterday because there's so many life pieces that we move through and experience that we can 100% relate back to business and marketing here in the online space. And in the end, it comes down to being a good human being and building those authentic connections.
Absolutely. And I've heard this expression before, but it is so true. Like what you were saying about taking things personally. Someone can say no to you now, but the time's not right. It doesn't mean it's a no forever. And someone could just be going about their life, something changes, and they come back to you. Because it's like, hey, that conversation we had where you were offering such and such a thing, is that still available? Yeah. Right? And if you're going to be nasty to them, or be off with them, or even better, block them, then they're not going to have that opportunity to circle back, are they?
Exactly. There's so much bullshit right now happening, and for anyone who is joining in the conversation, if any of this resonated, let us know in the comments. If there's a change that you want to see, let us know in the comments, because we are creating that change. We are taking those steps to do what we can to create the change, and we want your support. We want your thoughts and your opinions, because we are all here to grow together, and that's what it's for.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop the networking information in the
Forward to
caption.
that.
Yeah. I'm going to drop that in the caption. I will link the group inside of my bio because you can't share links on Instagram, but I will link it in the bio for anyone who wants to come and join the Women's Authentic Networking community. Yeah, come see what it's all about. Come see the change that we're creating. It's not just another Facebook group. It is a community of women who are here to support each other. And I'm super fucking excited for it.
And you should be. You should be.
Thank you for jumping on with me last minute and having this
That's okay.
conversation. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, thank you guys all for joining us, and I will see you guys on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.